Rape and sexual abuse scandals against children have dominated the airwaves over the past days. What can we do to protect our children? Joining us today is Adam Rosenberg, Executive Director of the Baltimore Child Abuse Center. Also, Deborah Holbrook is here from Mercy Medical Center to tell us about the Sexual Assault Forensic Examination Program. And later, Irene Smith, owner of Super Freaks Mobile Food Truck, stops by to tell us about the reopening of the Women's Industrial Exchange. More than 900 children are seen at the Baltimore Child Abuse Center. In fact, 90% of the children know their abusers. Joining us today is Executive Director Adam Rosenberg. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
We have been dominated, the airways have been dominated by this whole scandal at Penn State. And it's brought up a lot of phone calls to your center. Tell us about it.
I think people are looking at this and they're relating to the fact that this is real, that sexual abuse isn't something that happens to other people's kids, but it's something that can happen in their community. The Penn State community is up in arms about it. They're offended, they're angry that this happened in their world, and I think it's emblematic of the fact that sexual abuse isn't something that happens to someone else, but happens to all of us.
And so when something like that happens on a national scale, you won't get inundated with phone calls.
Yeah, people are looking to connect, and I think people are looking to get some answers, to understand how they can keep their own children safe, what they can learn, what are the warning signs that they should be looking out for, how can they be looking to build a better community and a better neighborhood, and I think, frankly, looking for answers as to why people didn't report and what should be the penalty there. So, yeah, we're getting a lot of phone calls from people saying, you know, what can I do to make this better? And
you all are, in response, having a town hall meeting.
We are. We're going to have 2 town hall meetings. One's going to be on Monday the 21st at the Y on 33rd Street at 7 p.m. And then the next one's going to be on Tuesday the 29th at the JCC in Owings Mills, also at 7 p.m. Giving people an opportunity to ask some questions, you know, maybe vent some of their frustrations, and walk away with some answers and some tools to work on getting their own kids safe.
And I guess the thing is, people are like, what, you know, why didn't anybody report this? Or they tried to report it, it didn't go further. What are the warning signs? What should I have been looking out for? What are some of the things that you tell them about those?
I think the number one thing that we want to tell people is that if they see abuse, they have to report it. There really is no gray area, Lisa. That in Maryland, the law is written both for professionals as well as individuals like me and you, that if you see abuse occurring, you shall report it. There's a class of those people who are mandatory reporters: teachers, social workers, health practitioners. So people in their professional capacity, if they see abuse, they have to make a report within 3 days. But there is a responsibility that we have to do this. And by reporting abuse doesn't make the reporter judge, juror, and executioner. It just starts a process. We have a great team in place, including Debbie Holbrook, who's here later, her team at Mercy, the State's Attorney's Office, the Police Department, the Department of Social Services. But none of these excellent professionals can do their job unless the public does their job of reporting abuse. And that's what gets this thing going.
And what are some, you know, sometimes you don't see it outright. What are some warning signs, some red flags for people?
The worst is, the number one red flag is when a kid says that they were abused, when a kid says something happened to them. All too often we've gotten cases where children have said that they were abused, and parents, teachers, you know, guardians, they didn't want to believe it, so they didn't report it. But beyond that very obvious sign, it changes in children's behavior, regressive behavior, children who weren't wetting their beds suddenly wetting their beds, thumb sucking, fear of certain individuals who they hadn't had a fear of before. Every child's different. You know your own kid. So when your kid starts acting differently, it should give you as a parent reason to start asking questions. And it doesn't necessarily mean that your child was abused, by the way. I think it just means that something's going on in your kid's life, and therefore it gives the opportunity to start a dialogue. And that's the overarching theme in this, is we need to be connected to our kids, and we need to be able to start talking to them more often and asking some questions.
And talking to them about things that do occur in the news. And recently in Baltimore, we've seen a number of people luring kids into cars and things like that.
Yeah, these are scary times. And I don't think abuse is necessarily on the rise, but I think if there's any good coming out of this Penn State Sandusky scandal, it's the fact that we're paying attention to it. So yeah, abuse is definitely on our minds lately, and we're seeing this. And I think these are the moments that give us reasons to say to our children, look, if you're walking home from school, don't walk home alone. Use the buddy system. Walk in pairs. You know, let me know if there's a change in your plans. Don't go with people who you don't know, because yeah, as you said before, 90% of these kids know who abused them, but I think we still need to be vigilant on all fronts.
And the federal government is trying to give more tools in terms of enforcement.
That's right.
Changing in law.
Currently, the definition of rape is really, it is forced vaginal intercourse between a man and a woman. And by broadening the definition of rape to really include all offensive sexual contact, I believe one of the thoughts is that more people will realize that they were violated, that they were raped, and therefore it'll give them reason to phone it in, to make a phone call, to make a report. And I think that's the number one tool that we need is we can't do this unless we know what happened out there. We don't know what we don't know. So that's why we rely upon the public to have some courage and to make a report.
And how is the Child Abuse Center a resource for people here in our area?
We're a great resource in the sense that, one, we're a nonprofit, so we're able to be a single point of contact. So any child who reports abuse gets a forensic interview at our site within 2 hours, often, of the actual incident. So 24 hours a day. We're one of the few sites in the country that has that ability to deliver these services to police and social workers and prosecutors. But even beyond the actual interview, we can provide mental health referrals. We do some treatment groups on site. We have a medical clinic on site. And we have really a lot of resources to talk to the families that we see or people who log at our website at baltimorechildabusecenter.org to learn to download a kit and go home and talk to their own kids about keeping them safe.
Is this just for people in Baltimore City?
No. I mean, certainly the resources are available for anybody. The mental health treatment and therapy groups are available for anybody. The primary focus area of the kids that we're interviewing is Baltimore City. But look, we do a great job, and we've been working with Baltimore County prosecutors. We've been working with the FBI lately. This recent push to prosecute human trafficking, we found ourselves as a resource for that as well, that when kids have been picked up as a result of human trafficking, they're coming to our center so that our team is doing the interview, or FBI agents are using our space to be able to, it's a warm, family-friendly environment, so it makes it just much easier for a child to talk and feel comfortable.
All right, well, keep up the good work. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Okay. Stay with us. We will take a closer look at the forensic side of these sexual abuse cases with Deborah Holbrook from Mercy Medical Center. Don't go away. You're watching 11 TV.